Hey guys, this is Nelson from AVD. Today we're going to be going over how to make formers for the wing. So before you get started on kind of like the main parts of your wing, so like it's going to be the formers, spars, and all of that, I highly recommend that you kind of have your rough shape for your fuselage. You don't have to have the empennage, but for the sake of this tutorial, I just kind of excluded that because, you know, obviously we're going to be focusing on the wing here. So first and foremost, we're going to have to figure out where we want the wing to interface. So a lot of you can do something where you leave kind of a gap right through here, and then just kind of have the monocoat go around the formers. So for example, I think I have it here. So there's a sketch right here that is going to essentially cut the aircraft. So your wing, you're going to have the formers for your fuselage include this part of your wing. And then kind of have your wing assembly be another thing, and then, you know, push it all together, glue it, you name it, put the spars inside of the wing box, that type of thing. Or you're not going to have this cut, you're just going to have the fuselage formers, and then you just kind of like this entire wing section that's highlighted in orange here is going to slide directly into the fuselage, and you'll assemble it that way. But if you want to do it where your fuselage is its own thing and your wing is its own thing, but your fuselage also kind of includes this section here, we're going to go over that real quick. So first and foremost, we're going to get the sketch to cut the fuselage out. So make sure you have a copy of this. So this is initial plan. I also have initial plan, wings, and fuselage so that we can edit it later. And those will be another tutorial. So what we want to start with is to set up our cut box at the edge of the fuselage, so the widest point of the fuselage. As you can see right here, I set up like a center line on either side, and then I've dimensioned it around 1/4 of an inch away. So for this tutorial, we're just going to put it at 0, so it's going to cut exactly at the edge of the fuselage, and we'll adjust it here as well. So we will do that, and then we're going to cut the entire fuselage out. So we're going to do through all and both, and then just cut it there. It'll ask you if you want to keep the bodies. The only bodies that should remain are going to be the 2 wings, so we'll just hit accept. All right, so now we can get started on the formers. What we want to do with that is start sketching on the top plane. There's something finicky about the measurement aspect. So if you were to kind of like smart dimension from here to, hopefully I can get it to this point there. Okay, we'll have to set up like a center line here. So we'll start a center line there, end it there, hit escape, and then smart dimension it. And it's going to give us the driven dimension. So obviously this line can't change because it's got relations at the corner here and the corner here. So it won't let it move. What we want is this value. So in order to pull this value out, one thing you have to do is another center line, arbitrary, doesn't matter where. You're going to smart dimension that, and it's going to give you this little box here. Once you have this box, all you need to do is click this box, and it shows you the exact value for this dimension here. So what you want to do then is hit Control C to copy it. You'll hit close, and then you can delete everything in the wing section right there. So next up is going to be cutting out the slots for the formers. Now the formers in AVD, they're going to be, if you're using balsa, it's going to be 3/16. So we'll dimension that real quick. Excuse me, 3/16. And then we're going to make this line flush or collinear with the inside wing root. So we'll do that real quick. Make sure your box is going to cover all of the wing when you, we're going to do something called a linear sketch pattern, and it's going to continue this way. So if you're starting at the wing root, for example, you'll want this box to be larger than the distance of your wing root. So we will start with something called a linear sketch pattern. Before we get into kind of the specifics of it, if we look at our wing here and we kind of look at the axis chart in the bottom, you're going to see that our wing extends into the -x and the +x direction. So what we want to use for linear pattern is going to be the x-axis. Once we have that, we need to figure out the entities to pattern. Unfortunately, you can't just like click and highlight, so you have to click inside this box here and then click each individual line of our former rectangle. Okay, so now that we have that set up, we're going to need to set the distance. So the distance is going to be just the paste of the distance of the wing. So here you can have it right here. But you can see it does something awfully weird. It doesn't put the former outline on the inside of the wing. It puts it on the outside. So in order to fix that, you just subtract by 3/16, which is obviously the width of the balsa. And then it puts it there. So we have around 21 inches or 21.5 inches to play with when it comes to, the spacing in between the wingtip and the cord. What we're going to end up doing is kind of filling that up with, I'd say like 15 or 14 is good. Usually you kind of want around like 1.4 inches to 1.6 inches. Obviously you can go down to like 1.2 and you should be fine. Just know that the amount of formers that you have may be a little too much, and it won't exactly benefit you in the long run. So kind of keep that in mind. If it looks good, most likely it will be good, but always have a reason as to why you, made that decision. So we're going to do 14 different formers here. And you can see that they extend all the way out to here because each of them are spaced by 21.2 inches. In order to fix that, we're going to divide the distance in the x-axis direction by n-1. So our n here is 14, so we divide it by 13. And here, if you look inside, all of your formers are going to be evenly spaced, and they're going to include the wingtip former, which is what we want. It's fantastic. So we're going to hit the OK button, and it's going to give us our sketch. Now, the thing is, when you try and cut it, so we'll do an extrude cut, it's only going to cut inside of the former box here. So if we hit the check mark, it's only going to leave this gray exposed section here. Instead of having it do that, we're going to use something called the thin feature. Now the thin feature cuts everything outside of the sketch that you have. And you can see how it changes. So here's internal, I click thin feature and it goes external. If you remember in our linear sketch pattern, it said the distance between each former was going to be around 1.6. So if we increase this to 0.8 of an inch, you can see that they now overlap. So it's important to make sure that those boxes overlap, because if we cut it here, we're going to have this gray piece there. We're going to have the formers and the gray pieces in each little section. And that's something we don't want. We just want to keep the formers. So we'll increase this back up to 0.8 of an inch, and then just hit the check mark. You're going to want to keep all bodies because that's your formers. And there you go. So here are the formers that are going to be part of your wing. There's really nothing else that you need to do. You can set up your spars. So for example, just to kind of give you an idea, say we want like a circular dowel going this way. Ours is 1/4 of an inch in diameter. So we'll set that up. And then we're just going to, usually what you do is you're going to figure out where you want this spar to be, especially if it's going to be, it's going to be load bearing. So it's something you guys are going to figure out when you do your model. But for an example, we'll do an extruded cut, and then we'll do up to surface, and we're going to do till here. So obviously you can tell it's going to be pretty easy to set up all of your cuts on your ribs. You can do lofts. So if you have a square here and then a smaller square here, you can cut between each of these patterns and get it set up. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. It makes it very easy to kind of go through and edit again. If you want to change everything, you're just going to have to delete this, change the number in your linear sketch pattern, and then kind of go from there using the exact same formula that I kind of set up earlier. So yeah, that's kind of the easiest way to make formers for tapered wings. You can do this. This is exactly the same way you use for the fuselage, but I'll probably still end up showing how to do that for the fuselage specifically. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, obviously ask in the Discord. But yeah, no, good luck.